This is the latest 14-inch IdeaPad 5 2-in-1 from Lenovo, generation number 9 to be precise. For a few weeks, my girlfriend and I were looking at laptops for her. She wanted something that was small and portable for day-to-day tasks, something that she can use for basic Microsoft Office applications, maybe use it to watch shows and videos, but her problem is, her boyfriend is a PC gamer. So obviously I had to intervene and do what I always do when people want help buying a PC or laptop. I encouraged them to spend more money than they actually wanted to. My brother can absolutely relate to this. I've done it to him twice, but he's been pretty happy with what I've recommended over the past few years, so I guess that's a good thing. The base spec for this laptop here, the IdeaPad 5 2-in-1, is actually really solid for the price, starting at £550 for a Core 3 100U on the Intel side, or a Ryzen 5 8645HS on the AMD side for £690. Now I won't be comparing too much to the Intel or even the 16-inch model, as I'll solely be focusing on this one, the 14-inch version I have in my possession. The reason we ultimately chose to go with AMD over Intel though was that after we spec'd the laptop with the added extras we wanted, the AMD option was quite a bit cheaper. This is something I do actually want to spend a bit of time on. The upgrade prices from Lenovo directly are actually really good. To go from the Ryzen 5 6-core to the Ryzen 7 8-core was just a £50 upgrade. From a 512GB SSD to a 1TB cost just £30. Most importantly, to go from a standard IPS display to an OLED one was just £60. Then we added in the stylus, the backlit keyboard, and it upgraded from Wi-Fi 6 to Wi-Fi 6E for just £10 per upgrade. Unfortunately, the RAM is soldered and there's no option for a 32GB on either the Intel or the AMD model, which is a little bit disappointing. But for this price, 16GB should probably be fine, especially when it's running at 6400 MHz too. If you compare these upgrade prices to the likes of Apple or Dell, there's a huge difference in pricing. And after we did some research, this Lenovo seemed to tick all the right boxes for what she wanted. After we added in our upgrades, that brought the total price from the base version of £690 to £870. Quite a big upgrade in the end. But Lenovo had a 10% discount for new accounts, so we only paid £783, including VAT and postage. But let's talk a little bit more about the model I have in front of me. Specifically this one right here with its beautiful, very reflective OLED display. This is going to be more of an overview than a full review, as I'm kind of limited with time with this laptop and my girlfriend is incredibly eager to get her hands on this thing, which is why I'm filming at 11:45 at night. Maybe we'll get a full review after a couple weeks of actual usage. Inside the box though, we get the 65-watt power brick, which is capable of rapidly charging the laptop to give it up to 2 hours of battery in 15 minutes. I would have preferred if it was a separate plug and cable, as it would just be much neater and easier to transport. Maybe that's something we'll look at buying down the line, something like one of those Anker or Ugreen wall chargers with a decent USB-C cable to go with it. We also get our optional stylus. It's nice that it matches the color of the laptop and includes a little clip for attaching it to the laptop. Then inside we get the actual IdeaPad itself. So let's run you through the specs of this thing at lightning speed. The CPU is the AMD Ryzen 8845HS, an 8-core 16-thread CPU capable of boosting up to 5.1 GHz. There's no dedicated GPU in this laptop, as you won't be using it for gaming, so you'll just be rocking the Navi-based Radeon 780M integrated GPU. We've got 16GB of LPDDR5X RAM running at 6400 MHz, a 1TB PCIe Gen 4 SSD from Micron, and all of this is being powered by a 57 Wh battery. Then the most interesting thing is gotta be this, the 16x10 1920x1200 OLED touchscreen display. Unfortunately, it is only 60Hz, but when you're only paying a £60 upgrade price to get those beautiful OLED colors and deep blacks, you can't really complain. We also get a 1080p webcam with a physical privacy shutter. There's also a fingerprint reader with Windows Hello support, and we've got a really nice feeling backlit keyboard that's super easy to type on and feels incredibly natural to use. The only thing I'm not too keen on is the weird shaped enter key and sort of hashtag key combo thing they've got going on there. For ports, this thing will cover basically everything she will need and everything most people will need. On the left hand side, there's two USB Type-C 3.2 Gen 2 ports with 65-watt power delivery and DisplayPort capability, a HDMI 1.4B port, a headphone and microphone combo jack. Around the other side, there's two USB Type-A 3.2 Gen 1 ports, micro SD and a power button. Obviously, the main party trick is the 2-in-1 aspect of the name. So this IdeaPad can switch things up a bit if you want to, and you can fold this round completely the other way and just use it as a giant, overly heavy, massive tablet. Or if you want, you can just kind of fold it back on itself so the screen is physically closer to you and not, you know, those extra couple inches away, because I don't know, depending on your scenario, you might want it to be that a little bit closer. Maybe if you're just watching something in bed and it's lying on your belly, you want it to be a little bit closer. Now my girlfriend was quite keen on the idea of using the stylus with this thing, but after 2 minutes of using this, I don't think it's going to come out very often. I mean, it works for maybe dragging and selecting things, but it feels nowhere near as nice as writing with a stylus does on an iPad or an S Pen. Not to mention just kind of holding this thing with one hand and trying to write with the other. You need to be like leaning this thing on something. It's way too heavy to be holding it like this for a prolonged period of time. The pen also just mounts securely in this little plastic USB thing, so you can leave it propped up if you want, or slide it in the side to keep it out of the way, though you'd lose access to a few of the ports this way. There's no clever magnetic way of attaching it, which is a bit of a bummer, so I can't see this thing sticking around for too long. Now for the overall build quality and feel of this thing, I'm pretty impressed, and honestly, I'm kind of jealous. I've got a 2021 ROG Zephyrus G15, which I use as my sort of day-to-day laptop, and it is a heavy boy. With this Lenovo IdeaPad 5 weighing in at 1.5 kilos, and my Asus laptop weighing in at 1.9 kilos. This is quite an obvious feeling difference just for using it around the house and taking it from place to place. And honestly, this thing feels pretty solid. The hinge feels really good for a laptop that's got a 360-degree hinge, and it's just a really nice device to just hold in your hands. Though unfortunately, it's not quite got that sort of one-handed lift it up on itself sort of clever hinge like you get with maybe like a MacBook Air or MacBook Pro. Though one neat trick in the Lenovo Vantage settings is that you can set the laptop to power on from a turned off state just by lifting that hinge up. So you basically never have to touch the power button if you enable it. The option we went for here is the Lunar Grey, but it's also available in Cosmic Blue, which is more of a kind of navy color. Ultimately, we went for the grey as it just looked a little bit more premium, and mainly because we thought it'd be easy to keep clean. Then underneath, we've got plenty of ventilation for when the CPU fan needs to spin up and actually do some proper work, and that just gets exhaust out the back. Using the laptop very briefly, you can feel it's extremely snappy. It turns on in literally seconds, and you can be up and running with your day-to-day tasks in a matter of moments. One thing I just can't get over though is the OLED display. It's only 400 nits with support for HDR500, but it is stunning. I cannot exaggerate this thing enough. I am so jealous, and I can't wait to get maybe a laptop upgrade in the future with an OLED display. It makes such a big difference. For watching YouTube videos, browsing the web, shopping online, or maybe even just watching a movie in bed, this thing looks so good. If you're considering this laptop, the upgrade to OLED is 100% worth the £60 upgrade. I would have seriously considered paying probably £100 to £150 to upgrade the display from the IPS version to this OLED model. Enabling HDR does actually make a big difference too, providing you're actually watching HDR content. It offers a decent bump in brightness as well as way more color and dynamic range. So this is how the webcam looks and how the microphone sounds on the Lenovo IdeaPad 5 2-in-1 Gen 9. Honestly guys, I'm pretty impressed. So the footage I just recorded had the AI noise cancelling features turned on for the microphone. It sounds a little bit different to how it does now. Now it sounds not as good, and you're getting a lot more ambient noise just from fans, breath, just reflections. Honestly, leave the AI noise cancelling feature turned on, and maybe if you want to improve things, maybe look at adding a microphone to your setup, or just use maybe a headset that you might use for work. Now, when it comes to audio and the speakers on this thing, I'll be honest, they're a little bit underwhelming. This thing is probably about as loud as my phone, and I can imagine a lot of people will be pressing the volume up button when this thing is already at maximum volume, just to crank out a little bit more. The audio quality is fine, I've got no problems with that. It's lacking a bit of bass, but mainly volume. It's really pretty quiet. Until you enable Dolby Audio in the Lenovo Vantage software. Then you can choose between movie, music, game, and voice. Each profile sounds slightly different, but other than the voice profile, they do unlock some extra volume and bass. Why this isn't on by default, I'll never know. It doesn't get quite as loud as my phone, but it sounds way better than my phone speakers do at maximum volume. There's actually quite a lot of hidden features in the Lenovo Vantage software. These aren't exactly exclusive to this laptop, but there's a few things I like the looks of. The ability to reduce the speed at which the laptop charges for the last 20% or so to maintain battery health. You can enable a blue light filter mode to reduce eye strain, or enable your OLED display to dim like after 2 or 3 minutes, or even the taskbar or background to dim individually to help reduce that chance of burn-in, as well as just save on battery life. You can switch between power modes or quickly view things like model number, serial numbers, or how much warranty you have left. Now I know there's going to be some questions like, why not just go for the Ryzen 5 model, or maybe a cheaper Intel model, or maybe an M1 MacBook Air? Well, mainly it's about future-proofing. With the cheaper options, we could be losing out on CPU performance in a few years, and also the storage upgrade seemed like a no-brainer when you're considering Lenovo are only charging £30 to just double the capacity out of the gate. We did consider maybe a refurbished MacBook Air with an M1 or maybe even the newer M2 chip, but the 13-inch model she felt was a bit too small, and the 15-inch model was a bit too expensive. And when you consider that Apple seemed to fit these laptops with diamond-plated SSDs, and upgrading from 256 to a terabyte of storage costs half the price of this laptop, you know, it kind of puts you off a little bit. Now, is this Lenovo IdeaPad 5 2-in-1 the perfect laptop? Of course not. But when it costs us less than £800, includes this beautiful 14-inch OLED touchscreen with an 8-core 16-thread CPU, 1TB SSD, 16GB of RAM, plus the fact it's got that 360-degree hinge, and it just looks and feels really nice for general day-to-day use, it should hopefully be more than adequate for years to come. Anyway, I think that's pretty much all I have time for, and I should probably call it a day and get some sleep. If you want to see an updated video with maybe some more performance numbers down the line, then please let me know. Maybe my girlfriend will let me borrow this thing for a couple more days to maybe run some benchmarks, try out some games, and see exactly what this thing has under the hood. If you do want to see that, please make sure to leave a comment down below saying, I don't know, I love Lenovo, so I know that you've made it this far into the video and that you do want to see more. As always though, if you have enjoyed this video, make sure you click that like button and get yourself subscribed if my face doesn't offend you. And if you're interested, I'll leave any relevant links listed down below. Thanks for watching guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.